This educational video will be teaching you about frictional forces, terminal velocity, and weight, mass, and gravity. This educational video is going to be the coolest thing since sliced bread.
Sir, if you've got a spare moment, and would we be able to use your window? Please? Thanks, sir.
Can we watch this?
I'm in the process of reading the notices, so they're going to do what they're doing quietly, and you are going to be listening to the notices. So get your entries into the middle school offices by tomorrow for the boy band thing. And when was that, James, Todd? That was tomorrow, wasn't it? Yeah, right. Girls.
All on the floor, smack that, give me some more, smack that, till you get so, smack that, oh, smack that, all on the floor.
Footage you have just seen has been us dropping these objects off Mr. Shaft's classroom. This was representing terminal velocity and gravity. Terminal velocity is when an object reaches the maximum acceleration, maximum speed that it can, and will accelerate no more. Lever? Would you like to? No, I don't know. It's like gravity is a bit much for a lever.
Measure force. The most common is to use a Newton meter. A rubbish bin over different surfaces. The first surface is concrete. It is very easy to pull this bin over concrete. Next, grass. The next surface is harder to pull it across. This means there is more frictional force. Gravel. Gravel is very hard to pull this bin across because it has huge frictional forces. What's the bin? Those frictional forces are through the roof. This is the definition of weight, mass, and units. You know you'll learn a lot if you listen really close. This is the definition of weight, mass, and units. You'd better learn a lot unless you want to fail. First up, it's weights and units. It's not quite what you think. It's actually measuring the force of gravity on an object that's sitting on our Earth, and it's measured in NEWTONs. Newtons. Now it's time to start our song over again so you can learn more. This is the definition of weight, mass, and units. You know you'll learn a lot if you listen really close. This is the definition of weight, mass, and units. It's the most educational song you'll ever hear. So now I think it's time to look at mass and its units. It's safe to say no matter where you're in the universe. It's the stuff you're made up of. It has the units that you know. K-I-L-O-G, radians, kilograms. We couldn't pick up any more with more this on so it's the end.
Alright, we're going to show you about friction and good forms and bad forms. This is a form of bad friction. Now, this is what happens when you put wheels on the cellophane holder.
Is the friction used when lighting matches. This is a wet match. The water will reduce the friction.
Well, that was a few examples of friction.
Yes, friction can be both good and bad.
Yeah, without the friction we couldn't light that match. But how can it be bad?
Well, because of friction, I couldn't push that sellotape dispenser very far.
But you could once you put wheels on it.
Yes, because they reduce the level of friction.
Ah, what other ways are there to reduce friction?
Well, there are lubricants, such as oil, water, KY gel, and soap. These make things slippery.
There you have it. Good and bad friction. Useful or detrimental.
Thanks for watching.
Now walk it out. Now walk it out. Now walk it out. Southern style DJs. DJ Montana the Trap. DJ
What's happening, player? My science homework. Willie couldn't help me. Willie couldn't help you? What do you need? Oh, it's this friction stuff. Friction. I happen to have all the answers when it comes to science, Emma. I do believe that Friction is the name of a Japanese underground rock band formed in 1978. But what does that have to do with science? Oh, science. Let's ask some other people. Ty, what does friction mean to you?
Well, whenever I think of the word friction, I think of something to do with physics. And naturally that song comes up. There's a fraction to the friction. You know the
Well,
one.
why don't you sing it for us? I don't know that one.
Well, I don't know it either. I just know that verse.
Go ahead and just sing for us.
I've already done it.
Just do it again then,
I don't want to.
please. We'll give you a cat.
I've already got a cat. It's over there.
Thanks, Ty.
You're welcome.
Friction is two things rubbing together very fast, feel very slowly.
We found the well-known scientist, Nick Hornstein. Nick, tell me, what does friction mean to you?
Well, isn't it obvious, darling? It obviously means, well, friction comes from, a Latin word meaning diversity. And diversity is an old wooden ship. So that's all I have to say. I hope I answered your question called friction.
Friction is when two surfaces meet and energy is created.
Mr. Adams, a well-established scientist in the St Andrews College world. Mr. Adams, what does friction mean to you?
Well, I think that it is something that causes something to either slow down or come to a stop, and it creates heat.
Miss Lefevre, what does friction mean to you?
The force that opposes movement between two objects.
That is cheating, ma'am. That's not what science is about.
And then, kids had a class, and they should have been in class, turning up to class late. This is what I call friction.
We were just wondering what you know about friction.
Song comes to mind.
What song is that?
Friction, too much friction.
Would you like to sing it first?
It creates heat.
Good. Friction.
Friction. There's a fraction too much friction. Well, let's talk to the good people. Friction. I have absolutely no idea.
It goes like this. Like, rubs together.
So Emma, you don't need your books because I found the answer. And this is stupid, but anyway. So I think we can conclude that friction is the rubbing together of two things, and we can conclude that it creates heat and energy, and everyone goes like this. So there we go, friction.
We are on the moon. You may remember us from such films as,
that one that time.
Anyway, did you know that your mass stays constant all the time? Even in outer space? Yes, Emma, even in outer space. And did you know that you weigh 1/6 of your Earth weight when you're on the moon? No, I didn't know that. So does that mean if I weigh 90 kilos normally, I'll weigh 50 kilos on the moon? It sure does, Steph. Do you know what gravity is? Yes, I do actually. Well, in outer space, there's zero gravity force. Which means what, Emma? Well, I'll tell you, Steph. It means that those objects that we're dropping when we were back on Earth would be floating in the air. Gosh, it's fun being on the moon. It sure is, especially when we're learning science at the same time. So, to recap some of the interesting stuff, let's demonstrate the difference between weight on Earth and weight on the moon. Back when we were on Earth, this object weighs in at 6 kilos. But now that we're on the moon, this weighs how much? It weighs 1 kilogram, Steph. So fun stuff there. Science, fun. What planet are you on? On behalf of Brianna, Emma, Jono, Mike, Levi, Tom, Sean and Thea, and myself, We'd like to thank you for tuning in for our extra fun educational video.